Welcome back, horror fiends, to Grandpa's Bedtime Stories. If you're new, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell, because tonight's tale will cling to you like dust on a desert road. Imagine a lone driver, lost in the endless Nevada night, stumbling upon a place that promises shelter but hides something far worse. It's the kind of story that makes you check your locks twice, wondering what's really out there in the dark. I'm Grandpa Sam, and we're checking into the Desert Haven Inn, a place that might not let you go. Expect creeping dread, whispers that linger, and a mystery that'll haunt you long after you lay your head down to sleep. So, settle in, kill the lights, and let's venture into the desert, where some doors should never be opened. Love these stories? Drop a like, share with your horror crew, and let's dive in. Oh, and one tip. If you see a neon sign flickering in the night, keep driving. The Nevada highway stretched like a faded ribbon under the dying light, my Chevy's headlights barely piercing the dusk. I'd been driving for hours, chasing a job lead in Reno that felt more like a cruel joke the farther I went. The gas gauge kissed empty, the radio droned static, and my phone was a brick. No signal, no map, no tether to the world. The last town was a distant blur, its boarded-up diner and rusted pumps swallowed by the desert miles ago. As twilight bled purple, a warm glow flickered ahead, steady and inviting, like a porch light left on for a late guest. It sharpened into a neon sign, Desert Haven Inn, its letters buzzing softly, a few bulbs dim but welcoming. The building was an Art Deco relic, its pastel paint chipped but charming, 3 stories of curtained windows glowing faintly. It looked like any roadside motel off a lonely stretch, a bit worn, but a lifeline for drifters like me. My car was sputtering, so I pulled into the gravel lot, tires crunching quietly. A lone palm tree stood by the entrance, its fronds swaying gently. The air smelled of dry earth, with a faint sweet note, like jasmine carried on the breeze. I grabbed my duffel, the weight of the drive heavy in my bones, and approached the front door. It was solid wood, polished, smooth, with a small brass knocker shaped like a star. The normalcy of it eased my mind. Just a place to crash, nothing more. The door opened easily, revealing a lobby lit by warm amber bulbs. A crystal chandelier hung above, its prisms scattering soft rainbows on the walls. The air was cool, carrying a pleasant floral scent. Behind the check-in desk stood a woman, her smile polite and professional, like any small-town clerk. "Evening, traveler," she said, her voice calm and warm. "I'm Mirabelle. Got a room ready for you?" She was tall, maybe late 20s, with dark hair pinned neatly in a vintage coil, her red dress a touch formal, but not strange. Her eyes caught the light, bright but not unnerving. Just a woman working the night shift. "Name's Jacob," I said, setting my bag down. "No reservation. You got space?" Mirabelle nodded, her smile steady as she slid a leather-bound guest book across the counter. "Always room here. Just sign, and you're set." The book was old, its cover soft from years of handling, the pages filled with names and dates in tidy script. Some were recent, others from decades back. 1960s, 1940s, even 1920s. It was quaint, like a family inn holding on to tradition. I picked up the pen, its cool weight, grounding. "Been here long?" I asked, eyeing the dates. Forever, it seems, Mirabelle said with a light laugh, her tone easy. The desert's full of places like this holding on. Sign, and I'll get you settled. I scrawled Jacob Riis, her fingers brushing mine as she took the book. Cool, but not alarming. She handed me a brass key etched with 13. Second floor, she said. Dinner's at 8 in the dining room, included with the room. Nothing fancy, but it'll hit the spot. Thanks, I said, pocketing the key. It was a good deal, a bed, a meal, no hassle. The elevator was an old cage rattling softly as it climbed. The second-floor hallway was long, carpeted in faded green, with brass-numbered doors on both sides, slightly tarnished, but clean. The air smelled of wax polish, like someone cared enough to keep it tidy. My room was at the end, the key turning smoothly. The room was better than I expected. A wide bed with crisp sheets, a sturdy desk with a lamp, and a phonograph in the corner, its polished wood gleaming. A quirky touch for charm. The windows showed the desert, the stars bright but normal, twinkling over the endless sand. I dropped my duffel and splashed water on my face in the bathroom. The mirror was spotless, my tired reflection staring back, bags under my eyes, stubble creeping in. Sleep, Jake, I muttered, blaming the drive for the faint unease. I unpacked slowly, hanging my jacket in the closet, which smelled faintly of cedar. The phonograph's needle was off-center, as if nudged. I gave it a curious spin, but no sound came, just a soft hum, like the neon sign outside. Shrugging, I left it, figuring it was decorative. The guest book's dates, Margaret, 1952, Henry, 1938, lingered in my mind, but I chalked it up to the inn's history. Old places like this collected stories. I wandered the hallway, stretching my legs. The doors were identical, but one, number 9, was cracked open, light spilling out. I knocked, and a rough voice called, "Yeah, come in." A man sat by the window, maybe 45, gaunt and sharp-featured, in a pinstripe suit that looked like it belonged in an old detective flick. He was smoking, the smoke curling lazily. "I'm Eddie," he said, his voice gravelly but not unfriendly. "You the new guy?" "Jacob," I said, leaning against the doorframe. "Heading to Reno. You here often?" He gave a dry chuckle, exhaling smoke. "More than I'd like. Signed the book downstairs?" When I nodded, he leaned back, his eyes narrowing. "Keep your car keys close, Jacob. Things here, they can get a bit funny." "Funny how?" I asked, expecting a story or a drunk's ramble. He waved a hand, dismissive. "Desert's got tricks. Just watch yourself." His words were odd, but I figured he was a regular, maybe a bit eccentric. The motel still felt safe, just quirky, like a place your uncle might tell a tall tale about. Back in my room, the phonograph's plug was in the wall, though I was sure I'd left it unplugged. I pulled it out, the hum fading, and checked my keys. They were in my pocket, the car keys' edge reassuring. The clock read 7:40, so I headed to the dining room, hoping food would settle my nerves. The dining room was down a corridor, its double doors open to a spacious room with long tables covered in white cloths. Silver candlesticks flickered, and the air smelled of roasted meat and bread. A dozen people sat, eating quietly. Ordinary folks, dressed in a mix of styles that gave the place a timeless charm. A young woman, maybe mid-20s, smiled at me, her sparkly dress catching the candlelight. "You're Jacob, aren't you?" she said, her voice bright. "I'm Clara. Sit by me. It's so nice to have someone new." I sat, her enthusiasm a bit much but not alarming. The food was hearty: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, red wine, and chipped glasses. A teenage boy, maybe 16, sat across from me, his bell-bottoms and shaggy hair out of place. "I'm Tommy," he said, his voice low. "Got a car out there?" "Yeah," I said, sipping the wine. "Why's everyone asking?" He glanced at Mirabelle, who was refilling glasses, and muttered, "Good to know you can leave." I figured he was a hitchhiker, worried about being stuck. An older man, maybe 70, spoke up, his tweed vest neat. "I'm Harold," he said, his voice warm. "Don't mind Tommy. He's got a wild imagination. This place is fine. Been here forever." "Forever's a long time," I said, half joking, but Harold's smile was distant. "Feels like it," he said, sipping his wine. Their faces, their fixed smiles, their eyes that didn't quite meet mine, started to feel off, but the clink of forks and soft chatter kept me grounded. Mirabelle appeared, refilling my glass. "The desert haven takes care of its guests," she said, her voice soothing. "Eat up, Jacob. Long road ahead." The food sat heavy, the wine fuzzing my head. "How do you get supplies out here?" I asked. "No towns for miles." Mirabelle's smile tightened slightly. "The desert provides," she said, and the guests nodded, their movements synchronized. That was the first crack in the normalcy, a rehearsed rhythm that didn't sit right. Clara leaned close, her perfume too sweet. "Stay for the music later," she said, her voice almost pleading. "It's so beautiful. You'll never want to go." "Music?" I asked, but no one answered, their eyes on their plates. I stood, the chair scraping. "Gonna turn in," I said, my pulse quickening. Mirabelle was at the door before me, her hand on my arm, colder now. "The night's just starting, Jacob," she said, her voice softer, intimate. "Why rush?" "Long day," I said, pulling away, the cold lingering. The hallway felt longer, the lights dimmer, the door numbers shuffled, 9 next to 22, then 3. In my room, I locked the door, but the phonograph was spinning, a faint melody drifting out, hypnotic, like a lullaby from a bad dream. I hadn't plugged it in. This wasn't quirky anymore. I tried the door key, but it wouldn't turn. The lock held. A knock came, Mirabelle's voice slipping through, edged now. "Jacob, you're not leaving so soon, are you? We've only just begun." I didn't answer, my breath shallow. The melody grew, the walls humming. The windows wouldn't budge, the stars too bright, like eyes. I searched the room, hands shaking. The closet was empty, but under the bed was a wooden box, heavy and plain. Inside, a photograph. Me, in the lobby, Mirabelle's arm around me, dated 1953. My heart stopped. I'd just arrived, hadn't I? The melody twisted, shadows moving, Clara's dress glinting, Eddie's cigarette glowing, Tommy's eyes wide, Harold's smile a grimace. Their voices whispered, "Stay, Jacob. Stay forever." I smashed the phonograph, the record splintering, but the shadows didn't fade. The door rattled, Mirabelle's voice a hiss. "You're ours!" The walls pulsed, the air thick. I grabbed a chair, wedging it under the door handle, but the wood groaned, splintering. Shadows surged, their forms solidifying. Clara's hands clawing, Eddie's eyes black voids, Tommy's voice pleading, "Run!" I bolted to the bathroom, the mirror fogged with words. "You belong here." I shattered it, revealing a crawl space. As I crawled in, the walls slimy and pulsing, the inn shook, the voices a deafening chant. The crawl space tightened, scraping my shoulders, but a grate glowed ahead. I kicked it, tumbling into the desert, the sand cold. The inn loomed, its neon buzzing. My car was gone. Shadows poured from the door, Mirabelle leading, her form twisting, her eyes pits. "You can't leave," she screamed, her voice splitting the air. I ran, but the sand shifted, slowing me, their hands grazing my back, cold and clawing. In desperation, I grabbed a rock, sharp and heavy, and turned, swinging at Mirabelle. It struck her chest, her form flickering like static, a shriek tearing from her. The others faltered, their shapes wavering. I swung again, the rock smashing through Eddie's shadow, his cigarette falling as he dissolved. The inn's glow dimmed, the neon flickering. I sprinted, the sand stabilizing, the voices fading until I collapsed, the inn's weight lifting. I jolted awake, gasping, gripping the steering wheel. I was in my Chevy, pulled off the highway, the desert dark. The clock read 3:17 a.m., my duffel in the back, keys in my pocket. Relief crashed over me, a dream, just a dream. Mirabelle, the inn, the fight, all in my head, born of exhaustion. I laughed shakily, starting the engine. The gas was low, but I'd make it. I pulled onto the highway, the stars normal, the air dust and heat. 5 miles later, a glow appeared, faint but sharp. My breath caught as it became a neon sign. Desert Haven Inn, its letters flickering, the building exactly as I'd dreamed. At the lot's edge stood Mirabelle, her crimson dress shimmering, her smile knowing, and Eddie, his cigarette glowing, his eyes hollow. They watched, their smiles stretching as I sped past, the inn's glow burning in my rear view, whispering I'd never truly escape. Some nights now I wake in a cold sweat, the edges of a nightmare slipping away. The room around me blurs, the inn's silk-draped bed and pulsing walls fading into my own bedroom, the phonograph's melody dissolving into silence. A woman's seductive giggle, Mirabelle's, soft and taunting, lingers in the air, fading with the dream, leaving my heart pounding as I clutch the sheets, praying it's over. It's never fully gone, though. The desert's mark clings to me, and I keep my keys close, always checking the rear view for that neon glow. I've sworn off that highway, but the inn waits, its doors open, and I know deep down that one night the giggle won't fade, and I'll wake to find the stars too bright, watching me still. Well, now, my little night owls, that's the tale of the Desert Haven Inn, where the lights glow a bit too bright, and the doors don't always lead where you expect. I hope you're tucked in tight, 'cause those desert roads can whisper some mighty strange dreams. This is Grandpa Sam, wishing you sweet dreams, though maybe check your keys before you drift off, just in case. If you enjoyed this bedtime story, give it a big old like and hit that subscribe button for more of Grandpa's bedtime stories. Ring the bell so you don't miss the next tale, 'cause I've got plenty more to share, each one creepier than the last. Tell your friends. Leave a comment about what keeps you up at night, and maybe I will write one just for you. Sleep well and keep one eye on the shadows.